Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's great to have you all here. Thanks so much for joining. My name is Patrick, and I am one of the organizers. There are many other organizers who I will share more information on in just a second. But just to briefly introduce myself as we wait for others to join, I am the founder of the Climate Robotics Network, also very happy to be a faculty researcher at WPI focused on climate robotics. I previously served as strategy lead for robotics at the Swiss Institute of Technology here in Lausanne, EPFL, and currently serve as the director for sustainable ventures at B Visioneers, the Mercedes-Benz Fellowship. And we have hundreds of fellows in that particular fellowship that are focused on deep tech, robotics, and AI. So if you are at the very early stages of having an idea for a planet positive venture, or already starting to build a venture around deep tech, climate robotics, and AI, please do check out the fellowship program. I'll share some links shortly. It would be absolutely super to have more colleagues from the Climate Robotics Network join the Be Visioneers Fellowship. So I've shared also my LinkedIn link on the chat here, so feel free to connect. I would love to connect with everyone who's joining and hear your story and your expertise and interest in this space. You'll also see a link to the team at Climate Robotics Network. It's a big team. It's not just a one-person show by any means or stretch of the imagination. And then just a link here for Be Visioneers. And speaking of team, I will hand it over to Professor Berk Calli for him to introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Patrick. So I'm Berk. I'm from the Robotics Engineering Department of Worcester Polytechnic Institute, WPI, in the United States. I'm also a visiting professor in Izmir University of Economics in Turkey, and I am one of the co-organizers.
Welcome again. Thank you all for joining. We know there's a lot of other events going on, so we really appreciate you making the time to spend some of your afternoon or morning with us at the Climate Robotics Summit. I want to start out by thanking all of our partners and all the members of the organizing committee. They have literally put in hundreds of hours in designing this year's summit, uh, informed by their deep expertise across the climate robotics space, their extensive contacts, professional networks across the climate robotics space, which they've very kindly leveraged to set up this year's summit with a phenomenal lineup of speakers who we'll all get to hear from across the next several days. So a sincere thanks for all the expertise, all the time, all the leadership of the committee and supporting partners for making this year's summit possible. Also want to give an important shout out to Robo Success, this year's global gold sponsor, rather, and you'll hear from Jessica in just a few minutes as we get started. I also want to be very clear in saying that all our summits are entirely volunteer driven. So there would also be no summit without our outstanding volunteers who themselves have put in a significant amount of time, hours, to get us to this particular stage and who will basically accompany us and facilitate and support the next 3 days of talks and sessions and so on. So a big, big thanks to all our volunteers. I'd like to think that because we're all volunteer driven and in some respects very grassroots in that aspect, this is not, if you're new to the Climate Robotics Network or Summit, this is not your kind of typical highly corporate, top-down, kind of event. I like to think we're a bit more approachable, a bit more human, and you'll see that in terms of how we've designed the summit as well. It's meant to be very interactive, very inclusive, and very open. Now, the summit is one of the flagship initiative of the Climate Robotics Network. So I wanted to share a couple words on the network itself. Our mission is to really help enable a more inclusive, responsible, and sustainable use of robotics in climate action. And we do this in a number of ways, including the summit, our flagship event, where we deliberately, by design, as you'll see from the creation of this summit again, bring in a lot of different areas of expertise together, right? Specifically to bring in all these different ways of thinking and approaches to different problems with the goal of ensuring that we don't take a top-down technocentric approach to climate robotics. It's because when we start simplifying the complexity that the world really encapsulates is when we start running into trouble, when we start thinking that, oh, it's just a technology problem, right? It never is. And by creating a highly diverse set of speakers and sessions and topics, we do this really by design in order to really help drive that kind of more inclusive, responsible, and sustainable use of robotics in climate action. You'll also see from our, oh, before I forget, actually, in our mandate around education, around the Climate Robotics Summit and other events, we make all these sessions and talks and keynotes available on our dedicated YouTube channel, which I've just linked to in the chat. That is really rich, has phenomenal and frankly, very unique content because there are no other climate robotics summits of this type still, although we would like that to happen so that we can partner and actually help build the broader community. We also have a dedicated global directory you'll see from our Climate Robotics website, and I'll put the direct link here as well. This is basically a mapping of some 300 plus climate robotics startups and a very detailed analysis of each of these startups. And the idea here is, again, to help build the evidence base, help educate investors, as well as researchers, policymakers, that this is really, really a space. This is not just a 2 or 3 startups on the side, and this space is gaining traction and momentum. You'll find that we have a dedicated white paper on climate robotics, and here's the link for that. And here again, it's to help consolidate the research and the evidence base around climate robotics, not only all the incredible opportunities, but also all the very, very real challenges and risks that don't necessarily need to be showstoppers or deal breakers, but let's acknowledge that these are serious problems. And now let's get to work, roll up our sleeves, and figure out how do we manage and overcome some of these challenges as well. I'm going to shut up in just a minute. Also to share that we will be launching a STEM program in the coming months, starting with a dedicated set of teaching materials for instructors, teachers, who can then use this material and help inspire, educate young minds and have them join, ideally, the Climate Robotics Network as well. And then last but not least, if you're not already on our Slack, it is open to all. There are some 600 plus members already, and we'll be ramping up on some of the programming and events this fall within the network through Slack. So anyway, that's my spiel. I'll hand it back to Berk now to talk about this third annual summit.
Thanks a lot, Patrick. So very quickly, folks, this is the third Climate Robotics Summit. It will be spanning 3 days from today, April 21st to 23rd. Each day is approximately 3 hours and a half, sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little bit more. We will be covering a huge variety of expertise, both in climate science and robotics, and of course in the intersection of those. We will have 3 keynote speakers, and each day will start with these keynote speakers. We have 7 panels in different themes, biodiversity and energy infrastructure, and the role of robotics therein, of course, is happening today. And we also have Earth and ocean observations, funding in climate robotics, recycling management, built environment resilience, water access and conservation. Those will be happening in the other 2 days. And we also have 2 pitch sessions, startup pitches and research pitches. Startup pitches will be happening today, and research pitches will be happening on the 3rd day. Maybe one more time, very quickly. Again, this is a whole fully volunteer-run organization, which makes it free and available to everyone because of that. And if there are some technical difficulties, we apologize in advance, but please know that our team is working really, really hard to make all of this happen. So a huge, huge shout out to them. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Berk. Very well said. So I want to now give the floor to our good colleague, Jessica Chavez, who is the CEO and founder of Robo-Success, and I will drop her LinkedIn and the Robo-Success website. I would like to also say that Jessica has been a long-time advisor. She's on the advisory board of the Climate Robotics Network. She's been a long-time ally supporter, advocate, has been part of every single climate robotics summit we've had back to back so far. So we're incredibly grateful and very thankful for her support and her engagement throughout, not just during these summit periods, but also in between. Her deep expertise in the space and her values, dedication are very much aligned with all of ours here. So thank you so much, Jessica, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you, Berk. I'm so excited to be here. So, good morning from Michigan. It's a sunny and shining here. And good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to be here. I think one of the things that most excite me about this summit being online is because it reunites all this global community across time zones, right? And the future of the climate isn't written yet. And every person that is here in this summit, I'm assuming you are here because you are curious to see how these different solutions or what is going on in the research or around this community can do for helping the climate change. So thank you so much. I'm very honored to be here as a gold sponsor of Robo Success. Thank you, Patrick, for inviting me. As you say, I have been here since the first time we started launching this amazing summit. And every year always is, I can see how many companies keep trying to tackle all these challenges. So thank you again for all of you that are making this possible. So let me go here. So the climatic crisis demands a tech response, right? Right now, we are seeing every year, I keep hearing that we have been hitting the hottest record year ever. I live in a place where we get a lot of snow. So this year we get more than 300 inches of snow. So it has been one of the coldest and worst winters I have ever been. And I almost was crying every day because of the amount of snow we were getting. A lot of days that were canceled at school and so on. So we keep seeing that is happening a lot of changes and things around our world. And we need to act before things getting worse. And the question is whether the technology has a role to play in the climatic response. But the question is really whether we, the people that is logging here today, what are we doing? Are we bold enough? What are we doing that is really helping to stop this? I have met through all my journey a lot of smart people, scientists, researchers, innovators. And here I think we are today to try to see how all these solutions can be helping with this issue that we're having. I have a kid, she is 10 years old, and I'm looking forward that she has a better world, that we are not destroying what she is gonna have in 20 years or her kids. I hope she has kids. Okay, so why robotics is a climatic change? I'm a very, very fan of robotics, of course. I have been working in the industry for more than 15 years, and my role has been helping a lot in the implementation side. And I see that is not just a supporting character in this, in this part of the climatic fight, is a lead character. Robotics, we can see autonomous drones monitoring deforestation, helping also fighting fights. We see robots helping with ocean cleanup, helping also to identify new species. We see a lot of robotics helping with agriculture, with farming, with renewable energy, and also with environment monitoring. Why no? Keep working on how to improve the technology, not only to help this part, but also not having a side impact, because we have seen also that developing technology sometimes can have a side effect, right? So the way we need to be working is not just around to say, oh, I'm gonna solve how to clean the ocean, but in order to build this robot, I'm gonna be spending all these resources and making all these side effects that then, of course, we are cleaning the ocean, but then the other part of the supply chain or whatever is happening to build that technology is affecting other areas. So one request I always, when I work with these different companies, is trying to think about in each part of the journey when we are developing a solution that we think that is the best of the best in terms of each part of the community. And for me, robotics has been bringing me a lot of good opportunities to meet an amazing people and seeing a lot of people that really cares about our world. And I see that robotics or fighting a climatic change is not going to happen just by one thing. We need an ecosystem, the power of ecosystem. And that's why I know Patrick is one of the funders who found this summit, because he saw that we need the startups that are trying to build something. We need the corporates, right? That they have this back experience. We need the researchers that are doing a lot of studies and are in the academia trying to find out how things can be better. We need also the policymakers to make things happen and no delayed when something could be a solution, or how can we make things better. And of course, we need the investors that are not just thinking about, oh, this is gonna make me a lot of millions or money, but also to think about how these solutions are gonna really impact. Again, it's like just think about not only about the money or the impact that we're gonna have in our business, but also in the future generations, right? The resources that we have right now, we need to keep them and keep growing them and preserve them also for future generations. It's not just thinking about the now, but it's thinking also about the tomorrow. And as a robot success, our commitment is like, again, we believe that the robotics ecosystem doesn't just need better technology. It also needs a better storytelling, stronger connections, and a community that refuses to let great ideas die in isolation. Why? Because I have seen, again, many times where somebody start building an amazing robot for fighting a specific problem, but they have this challenge of telling their real story behind, telling, why really this solution is going to be making an impact. What are really the numbers or the KPIs that you are going to demonstrate that is really effective, right? Instead of being a problem. Again, I have been implementing more than 200 or 300 robots in different industries. And I always have seen the challenge where, of course, the people who is the stakeholders buying them, they buy them for a specific reason, saving money, making things more effective, probably even reduce labor. But at the same time, the people who use it, the people that is at the end, they don't understand this value. So we need to also deliver the value to different stakeholders. And that's why Robo Success exists. That's why we like to show up in communities like this. And just, I want to leave this to you guys to think about that you are here today because you are curious to see how all this technology is leading to help the climate. So thank you again for having me here and welcome to this amazing summit. I hope you enjoy it and you enjoy each of the sessions that have been prepared with amazing love and passion.
Thank you very, very much, Jessica. So well said. Really appreciate it. It's such a pleasure and a treat to have you as part of core part of this community. Really, really appreciate it. It is now my pleasure to invite Professor Raphael Zufferey from MIT, one of our organizing committee members, and MIT being one of our core partners on this year's Climate Robotics Summit, to take the stage and introduce our keynote speaker. So, Raphael, all yours.